They are not the future leadership of the Muslim community. They are the leadership of the Muslim community right now. So our investment in MSA National is an investment in the progress, in the power of the Muslim community. I've been here at ISNA since the first few hours, and I have been blessed to meet people from almost all over the country. I've met people from Arizona, from Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Michigan, New York, the West Coast, California, Oregon, all of us here together as one family. I needed to be here. There has been so many things happening in the Muslim community. I just came from New York City, where a sister, an auntie, 60-year-old Nazma Khanim was stabbed to death just the day before I came to ISNA. And I made a conscious choice to still be here because I wanted to heal with you. I wanted to be with you. I wanted to think about what our future looks like together and what we will do to build power. Sisters and brothers, we can't just come to conferences, enjoy our time, connect with people, which is what we do when we come at conferences. But we have a responsibility, sisters and brothers. Oftentimes people tell me, Sister Linda, I can't be an activist like you. I don't have the time. I'm a college student, I'm studying all day long. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a mother, and I have 5 children. I can't really be engaged in activism or in politics. What I tell all those people, sisters and brothers, is that when you wake up in the morning as a Muslim, you are already political. Your identity as a Muslim is politicized. You have no choice but to be an engaged citizen in this country. The fact that you are here at this Islamic conference with ISNA and with MSA National and with MINA is because you are an active citizen. You may not perceive yourself that way, but you are. We have a responsibility. When I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful to Allah for even allowing me to wake up. But then after I wake up out of my bed, I leave my house in the morning to go to work or to take my children to school. And the minute I step outside of my home, guess what I am? Unapologetically Muslim. Unapologetically Muslim all day, every single day, because that is what we need to be right now in 2016. You know, people in this conference, we've been making tributes, right? We've made tributes at ISNA to Muhammad Ali. We've made tributes in the past to Malcolm X and to Dr. Martin Luther King. We have made tributes to revered leaders. We have given awards to uncles and aunties who helped build institutions like MSA National, like ISNA. And I tell you that all those heroes, our aunts and uncles, Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali, we say they are our heroes, but they were heroes even before that. I tell you, my dear sisters and brothers, that we can be Muslim in 2016 in this country, the United States of America, because over 450 years ago, some before the founding of this nation, some at the founding of this nation, some after the founding of this nation, enslaved Africans who were Muslims came here. And somehow, with all the circumstances They figured out how to practice Islam and hide it. They figured out how to pray 5 times a day. They figured out how to read Quran. They figured out how to fast in Ramadan. It is because of those heroes that you can be Muslim in America in 2016. You have no choice but to honor the legacies of people who sacrificed way more than you will ever sacrifice to be Muslim in America. I ask you, my dear sisters and brothers, when you leave this conference, to think about what story do you want to be a part of. When we look ahead 50 years from now, 100 years from now, many of us will not be here on this earth. At least I'm not going to be here on this earth. What kind of story will future Muslims tell about us in our generation? 100 years from now, will there be Muslims not wearing hijab? Will there be Muslims whispering to each other in their homes, saying to themselves, where were those Muslims in 2016? What were they doing? Why are we so afraid to be Muslim? Where was their courage? Why didn't they stand up for us? Why didn't they fight for our right to practice Islam in America? Why were they cowards? Why did they hide? That's not the story, sisters and brothers, that I want people to tell about me and my generation 100 years from now. I want Muslims 100 years from now to tell a story of victory, a story of power. I want Muslims 100 years from now to be more proud to be Muslim 100 years from now than we are proud to be Muslim in 2016. I want people to say it was because of the Muslims that lived in 2016 that we can be proud Muslims in America 100 years from now. That is the story that I want to be a part of, and it is a story that I want you to be a part of. Sisters and brothers, we're human beings, and we feed off of each other's energy. If you are a parent in this room, if you are an elder in this room, you have a responsibility to hold your back straight, your head held high, and you be unapologetically Muslim, because our young people watch us. Our young people feel our energy. They feel when we're scared. They feel when we lack courage. So it is my responsibility to ensure that everything that I say, every action that I take, instills the courage in young people to understand that it is not only that we be unapologetically Muslim, but that it is our right to be unapologetically Muslim in the United States of America. I'm going to talk to the parents for a second. You know what really breaks my heart? What breaks my heart is when I go to college campuses and young people tell me, Sister Linda, I don't know what to do with my mother and father. They tell me, look, I sent you to college to get an education. I sent you to learn. I sent you to get a degree. I didn't send you to be an activist. I didn't send you to be part of MSA. This, sisters and brothers, is the demise of the Muslim community. And it also tells me that there is a weakness in our faith when we tell our young people not to be active. Because when you tell a young person, don't be active, don't work on the issues that you care about, don't stand up against injustice, inherently what you are saying as a parent to your child is don't be a Muslim. Sisters and brothers, I hear a lot of people say that Islam is a religion of peace. And that's true. Islam is a religion of peace. I believe that all faiths are religions of peace and were brought to this earth to bring peace amongst the people. So I don't think you're adding anything to the conversation. What is more important about Islam is that Islam is a religion of justice. And that in order for us to be a full Muslim, a full human being, that We follow a big God. Our God is a big God. He created all people. So if Allah created all people, if Allah loves all people, then who are we as Muslims to pick and choose when we stand up against injustice, regardless of who that injustice is against, because those people are also creations of Allah. When we hear that our young people are on college campuses saying and working and standing up and declaring that Black Lives Matter, your child isn't having any extracurricular activities. They're not doing some extra activism. They are implementing and demonstrating the core values of Islam, where Black life always mattered. This is not a new phenomenon. You follow an anti-racist religion, and our children should be encouraged to stand up for all people, including declaring with the loudest voice that Black lives matter. If your child comes to you and says, I'm part of the MSA and I'm organizing with Students for Justice in Palestine, I don't want you telling your child, please stay away from Students for Justice in Palestine, because that's controversial. Sisters and brothers, getting justice for any community in history has shown us that justice is not easy. Demanding our rights is not easy. Standing up for the oppressed has never meant to be easy, because you know what? If standing up against injustice were easy, guess what? Everybody would be doing it. The story that I want people to tell about our community as Muslims is that in 2016, the moral compass of the United States of America was led by the Muslims. It was led by Islam, a religion of justice, compassion, love, and mercy. And that is going to be led by our young people on college campuses. There has never been a movement, sisters and brothers, in this country, whether it be the civil rights movement. When we think about Congressman John Lewis, who's a revered civil rights leader in Congress, he wasn't an old man when he was demanding rights for Black people, when he was getting arrested in civil disobedience. He was a young man. He was a college student. We think about Dr. Martin Luther King as an adult. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated, sisters and brothers, when he was only 39 years old. I am 36 years old. Malcolm X was assassinated at the age of 37. So activism doesn't have an age. We should be encouraging our young people to excel in their studies, and if they want to be active on college campuses, it is our duty and our responsibility as a community to provide them with the resources and the tools to stand up against injustice and to teach their fellow college campus goers, their teachers, their faculties, and the community that is in their vicinity about Islam. That is your responsibility, and it is our responsibility to stand with the Muslim Student Association national and to support local community organizations. Sisters and brothers, it is important for us to understand what our role is as American Muslims. I'm tired of people telling folks about Islam and what Islam is, and I'm asking you after you leave ISNA to think about what does it look like when we show people what Islam is? What does it look like when we let people feel Islam? And the way that we will do that, sisters and brothers, is by demonstrating the principles and the values and the convictions that we have to. You are my mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and daughters and sons. I will never ask you to do something that I myself will not do. I ask you today, my dear sisters and brothers, invest in MSA, invest in the future of the Muslim community, and I promise you, 10, 20 years ago, you will look back and see and say, it was me and my investment that brought progress to the Muslim community, and it was because you chose to give to the Muslim Student Association, national, and invest in the leadership of a revered woman leader in our community, Fatima Salman. This is not a diss on the brothers in the room, because our elders have done so much for our community. They have built our institutions, they have built our masajid, we have the infrastructure. But we need you to invest in human capital, invest in our young people, but in particular, I want you to understand that when the Muslim community shifted and started believing in the leadership of women in the community, we progressed in the past 15 years, in my opinion, more than we have in the past 50 years, because we have women at the front lines of our institutions and the movements that we are running. So power to the sisters in the room and the brothers who support the sisters. Sisters and brothers, I am grateful to ISNA and their leadership. I am grateful to all of you in this room, and I hope that you choose to participate in the